Liberty Gold, we're a company that's focused on oxide gold in the Great Basin of the US. We like oxide gold systems because typically they're large scale, long-lived, low cost to build, low cost to operate, and they uniquely show huge torque in value to the gold price. And I hope you'll learn a little bit about Black Pine, which is our flagship asset, in the next couple of minutes. I will be making forward-looking statements. That was the cautionary notes. We completed a pre-feasibility study on Black Pine, which is our large flagship asset, in late last year. And I'll take you through some of the details of that asset in a few moments. It is a run-of-mine open-pit heap leach project, technically very simple. And we believe we can develop this as the restart to a previous mine in an environmentally responsible way. We have $11 million of cash in the bank. We have long-term holdings from the major institutions, Van Eck, Franklin, Merck's, RCF. Wheaton are also a welcome to our register. They hold the 0.5% royalty on Black Pine, which is a very small royalty, typically for these types of projects in the Great Basin. Last year was a transformative year for the company. We have been an explorer for many years and been very successful in discovering and then moving on oxide gold deposits in the Great Basin. We've made the decision that Black Pine's the one we want to build. So we released our pre-feasibility study. We expanded the footprint for drilling or for drill exploration around Black Pine. We cleaned up our asset base and finished the divestment of our assets in Turkey. And we are now moving very fast down the road along mine permitting. 25 yesterday saw us submit the initial mine plan of operation to start permitting of Black Pine. And a week ago, we announced the bifurcation of the company based on some very exciting exploration news on antimony in our Goldstrike property, which we held as an oxide property in southern Utah. That will then be rifted off as a separate company, the gold with the antimony, to create a new US critical minerals company. So some quick thoughts on Black Pine. We have a just under 5 million ounce resource that accompanies the PFS. The reserve, 3.1 million ounces. All of that is underpinned by some very nice high-grade mineralization sitting in the carbonate column that defines the ore body. 1.7 million ounces at a gram, that's just above a 0.5 cutoff. And these are high-grade lenses sitting in interlayer cake, if you like, in a carbonate column. And that really drives the economics of this project. This is a snapshot of the results from the pre-feasibility study. We declared the financials at $2,000 gold. So we have just over $500 million NPV, 32% IRR, 3-year payback on an initial capital of just over $300 million, which is a very reasonable entry fee. 2 million ounces, just over 2 million ounces produced over the life of mine, 183,000 ounces a year for the first 5 years for an AISC of just over 1,200. If you look at the bottom set of boxes, you can see the torque to gold price. Current spot, you triple the NPV, double the IRR, and basically payback goes to a third of the original. So these things have massive response to rising gold prices. Very conveniently located, that big blue line is the I-84, so we're about 10 kilometers off that major highway. Salt Lake City is a couple of hours to the south, and Burley, which is the local town, is about an hour to the north. You can see the pits, Discovery, M, E, CD, and Rangefront, 2 large pits and some satellite pits. Relatively straightforward. The satellite pits are single phase, Discovery and Rangefront, sort of 3 phases each. Very straightforward open pit. Truck to the heap leach facility. No crushing, no agglomeration. Single pad, shallow slope, flat, easy to build. Recovery plant at the base of the heap. and then site services is truck shop and maintenance shop. Power line exists. We have power to site already. We just have to put a substation in and tap off the line. The water wells exist. They are equipped and pumping right now. We repurpose that water for the mine site and take it out of ag production, put it into mining, and then put it back into ag production at the end of the mine life. Critical here is there's no new water draw on the basin. So from an environmental perspective, we're not creating any impact on water resources. That's fundamental in this area. Very attractive project. Low environmental impact. This is a very arid part of southern Idaho, so no streams, no lakes, no fish, no waters of the US, no trees, no timber values, no threatened and endangered species, no cultural issues. It's an extremely favorable position, and of course it's a prior restart to an old mine. We front-end loaded the production schedule, so you can see in the first 5 years, we get years nicely above 200,000 ounces. That's for a 0.45 cutoff grade. Ore to the heap, 50,000 tons a day. We think going into feasibility, which is due to start at the end of this year, we think we can take that to 65,000 tons a day. So look for those production levels to increase as we go into the feasibility study. That midlife sort of dip where you can see the hashed bars, we've already identified something like 50% of that additional resource, and we've drilled it out. We'll finish drilling that out this year, and we'll solve that problem going into feasibility. Low strip ratio, 1.3. Strip ratio is fundamental to these assets to keep them cost under control. If you look at $9.11 on the bottom right-hand side, that's the total operating cost for this mine. To give you a perspective on that number, at spot prices, a gram of gold is worth $91 today. That means you get, for a 0.1 recovered of gold, you get $9.1. That tells you today, 0.1 recovered is our break-even cutoff grade for this asset. That's why you can mine down to grades that give other people heartburn. Lots of upside on the exploration potential here. We have 40 square kilometers already permitted for drilling. There's an additional 30 around that hasn't been permitted yet. So there is going to be an ongoing exploration story for years at this site. We've got a clear plan for feasibility going forward for this year. We've got resource drilling. We'll finish our resource model by Q4, and then we will go into feasibility at the end of this year. This is the timeline for permitting. We're on the very left-hand side here, mine plan of operations submitted. We're now officially in the NEPA process. We expect to see our notice of intent, third bar over. That intent, we expect to have that in Q3 this year. And that, at that point, we're 24 months from the decision notice. That decision notice we expect second half of 27, which means a construction decision late 27, build early 28, metal late 28. So we are 3 years away from construction, just under 4 from production. Exciting times for Black Pine. Finally, our Goldstrike deposit. This is the one in southern Utah. This is an RQ8 mineral system in the middle where it says Goldstrike Main. We have a 1.2 ounce gold deposit that's well drilled. We have been working on a water resource for this part of the world. We went back into the field late last year and sort of rediscovered this antimony mineralization on the flanks, on the eastern flank there. The assays here are surface channel samples. We've got percent level antimony mineralization across a very wide area. We've got 2 kilometers of this silicified breccia exposed, mineralized, and another 3 kilometers that we can see in soil geochem. We've done some initial met work. We can get a 50% antimony con at a 70% recovery. So it's looking good, and this was the basis of then just making the decision to rift out this company into make SpinCo. So first item, gold and antimony is going to form a critical metals company. We expect to put that to shareholders late in Q2 and form that company early in Q3. And it will then be a vehicle. We're already identifying other options to go into that, and that will be the vehicle to take this forward. That hand specimen, by the way, that's bladed stibiconite, which is an antimony oxide, and the gray material in the middle is stibnite, which is the standard antimony sulfide. So this asset has the potential to be a significant US-based antimony producer, and we think taking it into a new vehicle and funding that vehicle is the way to go. So Liberty Gold focused on oxides, Black Pine deposit in permitting, 3 years away from a construction decision, and we're taking out to shareholders the opportunity for involvement in a US critical metals company. Exciting times for the asset. Thank you very much.